This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, and insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hi everybody, welcome to show 246 Aussie Mac Zone this week. You're lucky enough to have Michael and Zarn. How are you tonight, Zarn?
I'm fantastic, Michael. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
I would just like to apologise to anybody that came into the first feed. We did come out live and then drop out, but we're back again now and we're ready to rock and roll.
Excellent, excellent. So this week's sponsors, ithelptoyou.com.au and aussietechradio.com. So our Aussie Apple ramblings this week. So Apple sold fewer than 1 million iPhones in India in the first half of 2018. So The Verge reports, sorry, I'm just trying a new mouse and it's killing me. Oh, you had that up too loud. Yep. Right.
That was me. Again, sorry.
Yeah, The Verge reports Apple has traditionally had trouble with sales in India. While the company started manufacturing iPhones in the country to lower the price locally, it's themed that it has a long road ahead of it. According to a report from Bloomberg, it sold fewer than 1 million devices in the first half of 2018. Bloomberg reports that 3 Apple sales executives have left the company as it restructured its operations there. It only has a 2% market share in India, and in 2017, it sold 3.2 million iPhones. And according to a report by Counterpoint Research, but those sales appear to have slowed. The same report estimates that Apple has moved fewer than 1 million devices, and even with strong sales, it'll have trouble catching up to last year's numbers. India is the world's 3rd largest market for smartphones, but its high tariffs, adding 15 to 20% to the price, has pushed consumers towards cheaper alternatives, like Samsung. Earlier this summer, Apple began to build the iPhone 6S and the iPhone SE in the country, a tactic that the company hopes will help reduce the price of its phones. But it'll take a while before its operations get fully up and running to full capacity. And in the meantime, Apple is lagging further behind its competitors.
Yes.
India could be a huge opportunity for Apple, said CEO Tim Cook, and CEO Tim Cook has indicated that it's going to move aggressively into the country. The country has expanded its 4G network and has a growing middle class. So you think of China, which could mean that more people will be willing to adopt Apple's products. Despite those low sales number, however, Cook said in May that the company's revenue from India has grown, setting a record for the first half of 2018. So maybe they haven't even got their numbers right when they say we've only shipped 1 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting to know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, that story's, I don't know. They said that in that one that they were going to try to introduce the iPhone 6 and 6S and SE, is that right?
Yeah, that's what they're already making there, yep.
So they're already making that. They're hoping to sort of, give that to the middle class market and sort of get into that the market where the Androids is selling more of.
Yeah.
But I can understand why Androids are selling more over there. I mean, here you can buy an Android phone for $30, you know.
Yes, that's right. That's what they're talking about. That's why Androids sell more everywhere.
That's right. You know, and my iPhone 6S Plus, is still probably worth $300, you know. So
at least.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand it, but hopefully it works out for Apple and they can get into the market over there, because it'd be great for the company and it'd be great to see, the improvements they make over there.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to see what numbers that really are when we hear about it later on.
Yeah.
I think they're about to do their third quarter results, I think.
Yeah, right.
Just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So Apple last Thursday, our time, released some upgraded MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro 2018. These were shown to press by the pros that have been using them during. Sorry. Got a problem with my mouse here tonight. There we go. I just changed it and then pushed the wrong button. Yeah, they've been using them during development. So we saw that story about a couple of weeks ago where Apple are hiring people to help them get their equipment working, for video people and music people, and so we did that story. So those people have been showing off the new MacBook Pros to the press. So I'll have a link to the actual iMore story about that. But yes, there are new keyboards. Yes, there are new processors. Yes, there's more RAM. Yes, there's more SSD. And yes, there's better displays. So everyone, straight away, the keyboard's the first story. So the third generation butterfly and dome switches re-engineered with the major focus being on loudness and tone. With Apple saying it has had intense feedback about the loudness of the previous keyboard. So Renee Ritchie from iMore quoted, "I've only had a few minutes typing on it, but it is significantly less loud. It also feels punchier, like it's got more attitude when you're hitting it and wants to hit you back harder. I'll be curious to see how it ages." Now the processors, Coffee Lake is here. The 13-inch get quad-core Core i5 or i7s, and the 15-inch gets 6-core hex core,
yep.
i7 or i9, up to 2.9 gig. Now the RAM, the still maximum is 16 gig, but the 15-inch you can now go up to 32 gig, which is what a lot of people are asking for.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the drive capacity now, 13-inch up to 2 terabytes and the 15-inch up to 4 terabytes. And we'll have a little story about the drive capacity.
The 4 terabyte, that's what I'm excited. Like, that's excellent. Like 4 terabyte in that. So that's
one of the quote video pros, they could put their whole video that they were creating on that 4 terabyte, which means they didn't have any lag, any glitches, any skipping when you'd see it. So now the display, both sizes get true tone displays.
The
15-inch gets a Radeon Pro discrete graphics with 4 gig of video memory. They get an Apple T2 chip. This replaces the T1, giving secure boot, real-time encryption, as well as the Touch ID, Apple Pay, and Secure Enclave that the T1. Which means that we can also have the ability to say, "Hey Siri," for the first time on a Mac. When we get moving, you don't have to have, like currently you can use "Hey Siri" after you've clicked the Siri button up the top.
Yeah, that's a really cool improvement. I like that. I know that it's just a little thing, but to be able to just go, "Hey Siri" to your Macs, it's fantastic. It sounds like it's fun.
And when you got home running on it, so you can use your HomeKit devices on your Mac, so we can just go like that, "Hey Siri," and sorry for upsetting everything. See, mine just went off. We'll be able to say turn the lights on or whatever. So there's a link to the MacBook Pros here on there, and I did release that on our Aussie Mac Zone channel on the Apple News site. So I did do that the other day.
Yeah. Michael, while we're chatting here, can you move your camera down just a touch?
Down just a touch.
Yeah. Just a little bit more?
Just a little bit more.
Perfect. Now I can see your whole mug.
Oh, bad luck.
It's all right when they're by yourself, but when we're two up,
Yep.
I can't see you very well, so I thought I'd just move it a little bit down. Yep. Thank you, Judy. Judy just gave us a thumbs up, so clearly we're looking good.
Excellent.
All right.
Welcome back, Judy. There must be something about that little enclave in Queensland, because Judy's from there, Garth's from there.
Yep.
And our friend Glenn's from there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's probably a few more, but they're three that little, one little enclave in Queensland. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we definitely got a following in Robina, so you know.
So we are approaching show 250. We're actually at 246.
Four more. Ooh.
IT Help to You will be providing some iTunes/Apple gift cards as prizes for listener stories, thoughts and questions about the past, present, and future. So please, Michael at Aussie Mac Zone, just get them to us, and please give us some ideas. I'm running out.
So anybody that wants to, win a gift card, anything like that, you know, and if they want to, you know, come on, ask, you know, watch the show, and when we get there to the 250, and we'll announce. Is that when we're announcing on the 250th show?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So we'll have to have their questions and requests, etc., ideas, everything before then, so then we can put you in the list. Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, further to the previous story about the new MacBook Pros, Apple hasn't directly acknowledged whether the quieter third generation keyboards duly address the keyboard issues, but iFixit discovered the 2018 MacBook Pro has a thin silicon barrier underneath each key, which they believe is intended to prevent the dust and crumbs from getting stuck. For this reason, some customers have been hoping that Apple will start swapping out second generation keyboards with third generation keyboards as part of its service program. But Mac Rumors has learned that isn't the plan. So when asked if Apple stores and Apple authorized service providers will be permitted to replace second generation with third generation keyboards, Apple said no. The third generation keyboards are exclusive to the 2018 MacBook Pro. And I'm probably suggesting that maybe the inside's laid out maybe a little bit different so that you can't swap them anyway.
That's a good question, Judy.
Yeah.
She's saying, why won't they do it? Why won't they? Won't they swap
I'm guessing
keyboards?
that the chassis is a different chassis.
Yep.
So you can't just, you'd have to swap the machine, which Apple aren't going to do that.
There's no way they're going to do that. That's cost of a fortune.
Yeah.
So Judy also said cost them too much. Well, basically yes, then, because you know it's a different shape.
Yeah,
and,
it's only got to have one screw in a different position, and it can't be done.
Sorry, Judy. You did say why would they? My apologies. The question I read the question wrong.
Okay. Yeah, but that's I believe that they can't do it anyway. Like I said, they've only got to have one screw different.
Yeah, well, that's
between the two boards, and the boards are different because it's got a T2 chip, for example, and other information. So now here's an interesting one. A former Apple employee faces up to 10 years in prison, a $250,000 fine for stealing Project Titan trade secrets.
Yeah.
So 9 to 5 Mac reports the United States FBI charged former Apple employee Zhang, Z-H-A-N-G.
Is it? I thought it was either Zhang or Zong.
Yeah. So with stealing trade secrets, Zhang was hired back in December of 2015 by Apple to work on Project Titan, focusing mainly on software and hardware for autonomous vehicles. But as reported by Bloomberg, the charge found in documents filed with the Northern District Court of California, Zhang's duties were to design and test circuit boards that were capable of analysing sensor data. The hardware engineer for Apple's autonomous vehicle development team, Zhang was granted access to confidential company databases, according to the complaint. After he took paternity leave, he told Apple in April he was moving back to China to work at X Motors. Now, Apple grew more suspicious after seeing his increased network activity and visits to the office before he resigned, according to the complaint. So fast forward a couple of years, and in April of 2018, Zhang took family leave after the birth of his child and visited China during this time. Shortly after, he told his supervisor that he was leaving the company and moving to China to work for X Motors, a Chinese-based startup that is also focusing on autonomous tech for cars. Mm-hmm. Following that, his supervisor at Apple felt like he had been a bit evasive during his final meeting. This led to Apple's new product security team to begin an investigation into his work activity and Apple devices, which were surrendered when he left the company. Apple began to grow increasingly suspicious of his network activity, had accessed data regarding things like prototypes. Security footage at Apple indicated that Zhang had visited the campus on Saturday the April and entered Apple's autonomous vehicle software and hardware labs. Upon looking at timestamps, the visit coincided with data download times, and Zhang left with a box of hardware. Zhang admitted to the FBI that he downloaded Apple driverless technology files to his wife's laptop to have continued access to them, according to the complaint. He was arrested on July 7. All evidence was forwarded to the FBI after Apple's digital forensic investigations team discovered that at least 60% of the downloaded data that was transferred to his wife's computer was problematic. In other words, it was top secret. But one thing we did learn out of all of that is, because they talked about having their driverless workshop and stuff somewhere else, but obviously most of it's still at the campus.
Yeah, well, that's right.
So we did learn that out of all of that, but yeah.
But still, like, that's pretty sus. Like, how did you think he was going to get away with that? Like, the fact that he comes back from family leave and then says, "Oh, I'm going to leave. I'm going back to China." And
working for the opposition.
And I'm working for the opposition. Yeah, like, didn't think this through very well, did you, buddy? It's like my 3-year-old coming in with ice cream all over his face and saying, "I didn't eat any ice cream."
Never happens.
I know.
So, Apple's iPhone 6 has the highest failure rate among iPhones, but Samsung is worse. So the Next Web reports a recent study of the past 5 years' worth of iPhone releases. I don't know quite how they get that, but saw that the iPhone 6 was hands down the worst Apple handset release in recent memory. Both the 6 and 6S models, regular and plus, topped the chart of least reliable Apple handsets, according to the State of Mobile Repair and Security report issued by Blanco, a data erasure and security firm. The 6 was notoriously bad with a staggering 22% failure rate. And for those keeping score at home, that means more than 1 in 5 required repair or replacement at some point. Even the 5S was deemed more reliable with a mere 5% failure rate. Now, the most common issue plaguing iPhones, according to the report, were Bluetooth issues, Wi-Fi, headset, and mobile data. Now, for Apple, things have improved dramatically following issues with the 6. The 6S, for example, failed at 16%. The 7 dropped to 8%, and both the current models, the 8 and the 10, have narrowed the failure rate to just 3%, which seems pretty respectable. Now, for Android users, the test showed Samsung handsets failed at a higher rate than any other Android phone.
Yes, they did, didn't they? It's a huge amount too. Like 22% I thought was big for the iPhone 6, but then with
found that Samsung devices had a failure rate of 27.4%.
I know, far out.
That's nearly 1 in 3 phones failing. That's unbelievable.
That's insane.
And that's just one brand.
1 in 3 phones.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like what I was saying before. It's not a $30 Android phone. You know, this is a Samsung phone. It's their fleet ship phone.
Yeah.
You know, 1 in 3 phones failing. I understand that Apple wasn't much better with the iPhone 6S and stuff, but I've had mine for, almost 4 years, and I've had no real problem with it except for the battery now. And after 4 years, the battery's diminished a little bit in power.
Yeah.
You know? So
And
anyway.
the Android phones were most commonly plagued by general performance issues, followed by failures with the camera, the microphone, and the battery. Just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, staggering. Like that's 5% more than Apple. Just Now, a reminder this week, we are brought to you by Aussie Tech Radio at aussietechradio.com.
We are. We don't have the ad for it.
Isn't it there?
It's not there. I apologise for the blank screen, people. I'll give you Michael's wonderful face once again. And
I'm sorry about that. So remember that Aussie Tech Radio has podcasts from around Australia, beaming 24/7 at you. 3 of them, besides Aussie Mac Zone, are My Tech Opinion, Aussie Tech Crypto, and our award-winning longest tech-running podcast in Australia, Aussie Tech Heads Podcast, produced in that famous little town called Rabina.
That's right.
Now, here's a pretty cool story. Actually, there's a couple, but it starts off with this one. iPhone survives a 1,000-foot plummet out of a plane and then is located by the owner with Find My Phone. Apple Insider reports a pair of friends in Iowa took a ride in a vintage biplane, and when one of them took out her phone to take pictures, the phone fell out of the plane, dropping about 1,000 feet to the ground. So I'm glad it didn't hit anyone. That's the main thing.
That's right.
But according to WHO TV in Iowa, the woman, Savinda Nabahas,
that's it. Well done.
assumed the phone was gone. But upon landing, she tried the Find My Phone feature in an attempt to locate it. It didn't work the first time, but before going to buy a new phone, she tried once more. The second try, it turned out, was successful. After following the trail for a while, Nabahas spotted the phone in tall grass in a residential neighbourhood without a scratch. So while displaying a notification about an upcoming meeting, I literally went into shock.
Yeah, totally. Wouldn't you? Like, your phone's just fallen 1,000 feet. Honestly, if it wasn't for the long grass and how light these phones are, it wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
But it would have, that long grass would have, cushioned the fall. And
just enough, Yeah,
just enough. And it saved the phone. It's amazing. I can't believe that. And of all places, like in a residential area, a field with long grass, and someone didn't find, an iPhone. Lucky. So lucky.
Yeah, I literally went into shock, said the second passenger, Donna Johnson. I asked if this was for real. Is this the same phone?
Yep.
Is this a miracle phone? You can drop it 1,000 feet and still have it work.
What model is it?
Nabahas, the author of multiple books, told the TV station that incident is proof that God has a sense of humour. Now, a couple of others that I hadn't heard about. 2015, a Texas man claimed that he has dropped his phone more than 9,000 feet from a plane and he found it on the ground still working. And more recently, an iPhone 7 was found underwater, still working after a 2-day period, 30-foot.
I was about to say it was something like 30 foot deep. That can't be real. Surely.
There's no such thing as fake news, so it must be real.
Oh, that's right. We're making iPhone great again.
Yeah. So now it's been a big week. As time goes on, more reports about the 2018 MacBook Pros.
Yep.
So,
what story are we up to, by the way?
We're up to number 7.
Excellent. There we go.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Yep. The site's tests were performed on a 13-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, equipped with a 2.7 gigahertz quad-core, 8th generation Core i7, 16 gig of RAM, the onboard video, and 512 SSD. Now, a file copy test of the SSD in the new MacBook Pro, which says supports sequential reads of up to 3.2 gig and sequential writes of 2.2 gig per second, led Laptop Mag to declare the SSD in the MacBook Pro the fastest ever. Now, high-capacity SSDs have been may see even faster speeds as the disk tests. A Blackmagic disk speed test was also conducted, resulting in an average write speed. Ready? A write speed 2,682 megabytes a second. Now, the nearest machine you get to that is the Dell XPS 13-inch Core i7.
On here, we've got this SSD speed file test copy, the little display that you got me to put up.
Yeah.
It says 2,519 megabits per second.
Yeah. Just depends what it's doing. Yeah.
Yep.
That's 2,519 megabits a second. Yep. The next machine,
which is still fantastic.
Yeah. The next machine, the Dell XPS 13-inch Core i7, 399.4.
Yep.
So what's that? Six times slower.
Yep.
That's and now.
And it just goes down from there. By the way, like as everyone can see, it's up on the screen. It has been for the last few minutes now, and you can just see it keeps going down and down and down. Like Asus and Microsoft, at the bottom of that list there.
There will be pictures in the show notes for those that are only listening.
Yep.
But so we had to do a double take when we saw how quickly the new 13-inch MacBook Pro duplicated a 4.9 gigabyte worth of data. It took 2 seconds. It comes out at a rate of 2,519 megabytes per second.
So good.
That's insane.
It's awesome.
So to be fair, Apple's relatively new APFS file system is designed to speed up file copies using a technology Apple calls instant cloning. But a win is a win.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you got any more news stories that you want to talk about, Zarn? I know we've got another one, the video one. I'll talk about that in a little while. But anything that you've caught up with or anything
actually
on Facebook of...
No, only real thing because I've been doing the beta test stuff, the public beta test for the...
Yep.
I've had no real problems except for I'm displaying that there's an update that isn't there at the moment that I've told them about on my settings. Other than that, the new update's fantastic. My phone's running great. I can't complain.
I've just done the
new
clean
apps.
install.
Yep.
And put it on. I've taken it. Stopped using the 6 for a while.
Yep.
I'm using a 5S now, which is the oldest phone it'll go on.
Yep.
Like a dream.
Yeah, right. That's
I've been
excellent.
using it for a couple of days, and it's just working.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
They have done a lot of work. I'll give them a lot of credit for this one.
Yep. Excellent.
Yeah. So I have a suggestion. So now in Apple Notes, we can make secure notes that we have to have a password for.
Yep.
So if you make an Apple Note secure and list all of your auto top-up accounts and what credit card or bank account they're paired with. So I've just changed banks fully, and this takes forever, and I still miss 2. So examples are your travel card, which is Opal in New South Wales, or your motorway card, which is linked in New South Wales. There's your internet service provider, and the list goes on and on. There's lots of things that you actually auto top up or auto, you order automatically allow. It might be your rent, for example.
Yeah, everything I pay comes out like that.
Yeah.
So
monthly insurance.
Yep.
All that sort of stuff. So be fully aware of that, and I promise you, it might take you a while to get down. And if you keep updating it every time you see a bill or you check in your bank statement, put it in your little list there in Apple Notes, because when you change bank accounts, it'll take forever. And you don't want to miss one, because then they say, like the linked one is one of the ones I missed, the motorway card one. It's instead of just being able to go in and change the card, and then it taking the money out. No, that's not the way they work. You've got to have a positive balance before you can change the card. Like, it's weird. I don't know. Like, what happens if you only got one credit card?
I know.
And it only that it runs out of date, as opposed to changing banks altogether.
What if you're using a debit card, like a Visa debit or a MasterCard debit card, and you've changed banks, so now that you actually want to sort this out, and you've got your Visa debit or your MasterCard debit card, and you're like, all right, so I'm going to change the new card.
You've got to go in and use the credit card feature of your debit card.
Yep.
Pay it, and then put the debit card back in place of the old one.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Like, so it takes 20 minutes to do instead of 5 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
So just make a secure Apple Note, and then put what's linked to what, and I promise it'll save you time in the future. I'm not doing this week in Apple history. There were a couple of things, but I'll save that and include them next week.
Yep.
So what about how-to number 2?
Yep.
How to add secondary destinations in Apple Maps while navigating. So while already in navigation mode on the iPhone, swipe up from anywhere on the bottom portion of the screen and tap on either gas stations, breakfast, or coffee. And a list will appear with the options near your area. Simply tap on them and add it to the navigation. Give it a few seconds, and Apple Maps will begin routing you in that direction. And that's it's very handy if you got a group of people and you've got to take a pit stop on the way or whatever.
Yeah.
But still have your destination in mind, because having stops in maps I've found lately is unbelievably hard. So I've used the gas stations one where you're cruising along and you need to find a gas station, and then you can go, there's one there. Okay, I'll have that one, and it'll put you in there. Yeah.
Here in Australia, we call them petrol stations.
So, not on the screen, it doesn't.
No, it still says gas station on the screen there. Just so I'll put it up a second time so people can see that.
I'll just double check that. I'll see what it does say on our maps here. So if I want to go to there, I start going.
Route to 1 to 11 Harriet Street.
Yeah, and then I lift it up, and it does say petrol stations on the Australian one.
It does?
It does.
There we go, people. It says petrol stations on the Australian one.
And it's obviously time centre, because it says right now it says petrol stations, dinner or coffee, as opposed to breakfast.
So there you go. It is time sensitive too. That's really cool.
It's just something you'd expect from Apple, isn't it? I love them. So I've got a couple of other stories. The first one. Now, Andy Hertzfeld, there's an interview.
Yes.
Which is excellent.
It really is.
It went for about 20 minutes, I think.
Actually, to be honest, it's about 13 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah,
to be precise.
It's because I replayed a couple of it, I suppose. But it's on YouTube.
Yep, and it's called Tools and Craft. It's by Notion. And it's got Andy on there talking about when he really wanted an Apple II, and he had and he didn't have enough money for it at the time, and he was waiting, and finally they put a second version of it that was a little bit cheaper, and he checked his bank account and he had enough, and and he finally did that, and then going on to work with Apple and everything like that. It's a great interview. It's all I'm going to say. Check it out.
Even to the point where like when they were transitioning from one question to the next one, and they'd show you some of the questions on his to-do list books.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like little things like that.
Yep.
Being a techie, that was really cool.
He mentioned Bill, by the way.
Yeah.
He said, and because he was talking about Lisa,
Yeah.
and mentioned Bill. Is that Bill, like as in Gates? Or
I'm trying to remember the part where he was talking about it.
because he just said Bill, like people would know who we're talking about.
Yeah. Just give me a sec.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. I'll just try and remember the other guy.
Watching the black and white screens as well.
Yeah, that's right.
I know. I don't know, Judy. If it can, we can try. We can definitely try.
What, improve?
No, she said, can anything else block Michael's face? You've bashed the camera, and it's also tilted a little bit to, which would be your right. So we need it to go, back to your right a little bit, and then down a bit again. No, other way, sorry, your left. Keep going. Yeah, stop. And you can't move it any further down because otherwise you'll miss the poster behind you.
Yeah. Bill Atkinson, I think is the guy's name.
Bill Atkinson. There you go. So it wasn't Bill Gates. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know. Because I knew Bill Gates did work there for a very short period of time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Bill Atkinson that he would have been talking about.
Yep.
There's a few people that were there, but that's the one that comes to the top of my head. One of the original designers, yeah.
Jude just said, "Yay!" Now Lee can see you before he goes to bed. So hi, Lee. Good night, mate.
Thanks, Lee. I still apologise for Judy and Zarn tonight.
Why are you apologising for me? I'm sorry.
I'm gone now. Now, Sonos Update adds AirPlay 2 support. On Wednesday, Sonos released support for Apple's AirPlay 2, giving a dramatic boost in functionality to certain Sonos smart speakers via a software update. Now, if you've got a Sonos One, a Beam, a Playbase, or a second generation Play 5, you'll need to update your Sonos iOS app and then use the new app to install the software update. Now, this is a big step forward in flexibility for Sonos products. Keep in mind that Sonos speakers don't do Bluetooth or AirPlay 1, so they've been pretty firmly locked in their own universe unless you added a dongle or ran a software bridge. But once a Sonos speaker gets AirPlay 2, you can do a lot more than just play audio directly to the speaker from a Mac or iOS device. Perhaps most impressively, all AirPlay 2 speakers can now play music in perfect synchronization. And if you've got a HomePod or two and a compatible Sonos device, you can now select all those devices and play music through them entirely in sync. And even better, if you've got an incompatible Sonos device and place them in the same group as the AirPlay 2 compatible devices via the Sonos app, those speakers will also play synchronously, not synchronicity, synchronously. Now, Jason...
I could have helped you then, but I didn't want to.
Jason was able to get music to play in sync through his house via a pair of HomePods.
In sync? As in the group or in sync?
And the incompatible Play 1 in his bathroom. So now we've put a link to the Macworld article, which has got the added steps you need to get everything to work, which is basically putting it into HomeKit. Now, our show promotion. Our show notes link each week on show upload. So on Spotify, just search Aussie Mac Zone. Don't forget to look for Apple News. Go to Apple News app and look up Aussie Mac Zone and heart it to favourite us, and then you'll get notifications of when I do drop things in there.
Excellent.
And I'm still having a hassle uploading the show variation, which is the iTunes video edition, because it's just won't let me put it in the right place. So just they're doing some beta software work, and it just won't let me put it in the right place.
Yep.
And Glenn from Aussie Tech Heads, he's having no problem whatsoever. So now, thank you to our sponsors, this week being IT Help to You and Aussie Tech No Radio. No ad scene for the AussieTechRadio.com. And
Kellyanne.
our supporters, you, our listeners.
Yeah, Kellyanne has just come in to watch. It's too late, Kellyanne, all right? It's too late.
Yes. Sorry to wake you in the first place.
That's right.
So there we go.
Thanks, sponsors. Thanks, watchers and listeners. Thanks for the chats on Facebook as we're going live every Monday night.
Don't forget to send us something. Send it.
Yes.
Please send us something so I can give you a card.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we'll make a big deal about it and everything. Like we'll be like, ah.
Yeah.
And if you've got the technology, we can even talk to you while we're here. If we I shouldn't say that. If Michael wants to do that, I can't really give that a sort of approval.
But please. But thank you again, everybody.
Judy, sorry. Judy wants to talk about pornos.
We don't have that classification. I'm sorry.
No, we're a PG. We're a PG network. And remember, lovely people, an apple a day keeps the androids away. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.